So Auditor-General Tsakani Maluleke has urged government to urgently strengthen its disaster management capacity. She says disasters like floods are becoming more frequent in the country. She blames this on climate change. The AG has also slammed the slow rollout of relief efforts to flood victims in KZN and parts of the Eastern Cape. So for more on what government can do or how government can do better, let's bring in Jomo Nyambi from the Ad Hoc Joint Committee on flood disaster relief. It's great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks as always for agreeing to speak to us. Let me just get your reaction as a start from what the AG had to say yesterday. I mean, parts of what she highlighted is that in some instances there's a lack of coordination between provincial government, sometimes municipality and national government. And we actually saw this play out when at some stage there was a back and forth between Treasury and the KZN government about the release of these funds.
Morning, Ayanda. Morning to the viewers. Thanks once again for the opportunity. Indeed, we agree with the Auditor General. It's part of what we picked up when we engage all relevant stakeholders, and we have been to all these provinces. And when we engage them, we saw that there were some challenges in terms of coordination, and it's part of the issues that we raised sharply with Treasury and the Minister in the Presidency, that there's room for improvement, even though we saw some pockets of progress. But it was not at the level where we can be saying we are satisfied as a committee. And yesterday when the AG presented to us, it confirms what we saw, because we have been on the ground, interacting with the people affected, interacting with all the relevant stakeholders. But what is positive, it's the good practices that were identified by the Auditor General.
Yeah. What was, though, however, concerning is that, sometimes some of the actions taken by authorities didn't appear to make sense. And here's an example. We were told that in some instances, the floods came through, obviously caused the disaster in their trail. But in response to that, houses or shelters were built on the very same trail of disaster, such that when the floods came through again, those structures were washed away. I mean, stuff like that, surely somebody has to answer to. Definitely.
That is why we said the issue of involving the geoscience that provided some science and technical aspect of it to indicate that it can be that you have realized that the place that you have constructed the structure is prone to some disaster or some floods. And once again, instead of identifying a land that will be conducive, that will be sustainable after whatever challenges that might come after some years, and then you go back to the very same area where there are some challenges. So those were indications that the sense of desperation and just doing it to tick the box created another problem. But working with the different stakeholders and portfolio committees and select committees in Parliament, and when we'll be rounding up, I think we'll have a way of making sure that part of what is coming from this engagement and what we're getting and the lessons, it's something that will go a long way to assist the government when we're dealing with disaster as a country. Because the lessons learned has shown some serious challenges. And to date, it's almost after 5 months and you still have those people that are packed in those shelters. And it's a clear indication that there are some challenges somewhere.
Who do you reckon is dropping the ball? I mean, 5 months is really an unreasonable time, many people will say, to have these people still staying in temporary shelters, especially when at least the funds have been made available to help them.
It's a mixed bag because you have some pockets of some serious progress. The first time we went to KZN, the situation was extremely dire on the ground. One of the biggest and the busiest port of Durban in Africa was totally not working. There was a total shutdown because of the disaster. But when we went the second time around, it was normal. People were stuck in some shelters. We have those that they've taken them out of the shelters, but you still have those that are overcrowded. So that is why I'm saying it's a mixed bag. You have some progress and we have some challenges, and we agree with the AG that there's a room for improvement, and the response by government was not adequate and is not satisfactory to the level where we can say we are satisfied as an ad hoc joint committee. But of course, out of those good practices identified by the AG, especially where some contractors that have done some poor quality workmanship. They were not paid. So those are good lessons. But the social relief system was working, and it's something that can be commendable. And the role that has been played by different stakeholders in making sure that those people that are subjected to the dire situation on the ground are assisted is something that is giving hope to the challenges that we're facing.
Yeah. We've been speaking in broad strokes, at least for parts of our discussion. There's going to be a second interim real-time audit report in around October this year. That's actually next month. When that time comes, what are some of the most specific questions that you're hoping will be answered?
By that time, we are hoping that we won't have people in shelters. And there was a commitment from the provincial government that they're going to take people that are overcrowded in shelters. By that time, we are hoping that the issue of available land that has been identified is going to be adequately used to make sure that those people that are still stuck in the situation that is compromising their dignity is going to be a thing of the past. The other thing is that the coordination definitely must improve. We must have a way of how we deal with this thing, because South Africa is not a federal state. It's a unitary state, and we don't expect different spheres of government or different departments to work in silos. And the coordination definitely must improve. And as we'll be rounding up our role as the committee and all the issues that we'll be referring to different select committee and portfolio committees, we expect them to take them to hit the ground running, and we have to change how we do things as Parliament. We have realized that spending much time in Cape Town and going to the ground is what we have to make it a matter of a daily experience, that when we are on the ground, we have a first-hand experience. Like when we interacted with the AG yesterday, part of what she presented and the sampling that she was presenting to us is what we experienced when we went to the ground. And it was not so much of a theoretical understanding to us because we were on the ground. And it's what we're taking as good lessons. And it's part of issues that I think when we're meeting in October, coming from the final report that will be coming from the AG, it will assist us to have a better sense and have some improvement where there are some critical challenges.
Sure. As an oversight body, I'm sure you'd appreciate the importance of something like consequence management. I mean, this kind of thing, our delayed response has ripple effects on communities who've been affected by these floods. If your expectations are not met by October, what do you reckon ought to be the appropriate sanctions to the people who are responsible of carrying out some of these responsibilities?
You will understand that as the people that are tasked mainly to do three things. The first one is the issue of oversight. Yesterday deepened the conversation of oversight. The second one is the one of public participation. The third one is lawmaking. And of course, when it comes to issues of consequence management, you'll understand that different departments are the ones that are implementing what has been promised for our people on the ground, and we're playing that oversight. We have to change how we do things. And we've given some powers to the AG. Like when there are some material irregularities and there are some challenges, then they can refer issues to relevant authorities to deal with those people. But we'll expect those people that are appointed in positions that are in charge to account. We are going to depend accountability as Parliament. We are definitely going to play our role, playing with our colleagues in the legislatures, playing with our colleagues in local government, so that at the end of the day, the people that are subjected to the dire situation will still have hope, will still have confidence in the system. And of course, we can't talk about this and forget to always give praise to those volunteers and those officials of government that are risking a lot of things, committed, still on the ground, because there is some pockets of efficiency and effectiveness, even though there are some challenges. But those that are continue to cause some problems, let there be consequence management. Yeah,
hopefully that can be seen through. But for now, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Jomo Nyambi is with the Ad Hoc Committee on Flood Disaster Relief. Really do appreciate your time on the AM report.